I want to welcome everybody to We Are Human, We Write, poetry readings featuring ID13 Prison Literacy Project poets. I'd like to introduce Dr. Christopher Dumm. Dr. Christopher Dumm is the assistant professor in sociology at Kent State University. His research, in his words, focuses on the intersection between the criminal justice system, public policy, and inequality. And his book, Exiled in America, Life on the Margins in a Residential Motel, drew from a year of field work at a residential motel exploring how residents experiencing homelessness go about their lives in a context that pushes them to the margins of society. Dr. Dumm is co-founder of the ID13 Prison Literacy Project, which aims to amplify the creative voice of incarcerated individuals. And we are honored to be able to celebrate National Poetry Month this year with Dr. Dumm and readers from the ID13 Project. So with that, please welcome Dr. Christopher Dumm.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Thank you, Cleveland Public Library. Thank you, Yvonne, for hosting this. This is just an incredible opportunity for us, and great that this sort of just is coinciding with Poetry Month, so that's fantastic. Very thankful to be here with ID13. ID13 was founded with the help of Hallie Niederman, who is a grad student at Kent State University and is now teaching actually at the American University of Beirut over in Lebanon. So we founded it in 2016, and I've sort of tried to pick up the mantle as much as possible since Hallie is overseas here. Yeah, like Don said, our goal is to amplify the voices of creative individuals in various correctional institutions in Ohio, and to provide an outlet and a platform for them. So we urge you to go on our website, www.id13project.com, and take a look at all we have to offer. We have free chapbooks that you can download and distribute there. We have been really fortunate. I will just say too, sometimes when we show our work and people are just kind of like, oh, so amazed. I didn't know people, in prison, had all these things to say. But I think that's sort of the wrong way to look at it, right? When you realize that we incarcerate, 2 million people in this country, human beings like us, like it only would make sense that people in that situation, that people like us would have these creative talents, right? And so it's not like we're going into prisons and finding diamonds in the rough. It's sort of more of a tragic commentary on the fact that we are locking up so many people in this country who have so many gifts that are really not being shared. And I should also mention that we've been very fortunate. So when we go into prisons to lead writing workshops and then to share it with the public, that like we're doing now, we've been very fortunate to find groups that have essentially sort of already been created by people who are incarcerated. So in Lake Erie, we had the Writers by the Lake, a writing group and a reading group that had essentially been started already, and we were asked to come in to help give some expertise and amplify their voices. In Grafton, there's the Poetic Companions who had already been started, and we came in there to help with them. And in FCI Elkton, there were several writing classes going on there. So I don't want to make it sound like we go in and there's sort of nothing existing there. There's so much awesome creative expression and activity going on in the prisons already. And we're just incredibly fortunate to be able to go in there and help them out. We really exist and operate sort of at the pleasure of these groups, of the guys inside who want us to be there. That's a really fortunate thing that we're able to do, and I'm always very thankful of that. So, and thankful to all these awesome readers who are here today. So I'm going to introduce our first one, who is Bengt George. He's a co-facilitator with ID13, been doing this for years. So I'll let Bengt introduce himself and the pieces he's going to read. So.
Thanks, Chris. Hi, everybody. My name is Bengt, and like Chris said, for a long time it was me and him making the regular trips, mostly up to Lake Erie Correctional, but also Grafton. And in addition to working inside the prisons with the groups, I've kind of taken the lead on doing, events and media, including laying out our chat books. And I can't help myself but to share a bunch of stuff. So in the chat, I'm going to put 3 links right now. That first one is to our website, the section where we have the chat books. They're free to read on the website. You can download them, do whatever you want with them. We have 3, actually 4 now from Lake Erie. And then we've got one, which was writers from FCI Elkton. And then we got a new one, which is really cool. So new, I don't even have a color copy yet. This is the Poetic Companions one from the guys at Grafton. And that second link there, one of the original members of the first group at Lake Erie writes under the name EL. He now has a book out. You can buy it on Amazon, actually. It's only $6. I have a copy right here. I'm going to be reading out of this in just a minute. So there's that. And last thing I put up there, mainly because we've got a big old picture of EL right there. He was happy about being the featured portrait. There was a Cleveland magazine story about the project. There was a writer and photographer that went in with us a couple times, interviewed a lot of the guys, and pretty cool story. So I'm going to read a poem by EL. It's called Beyond Fantasy. It's one of my favorites to read at these public events that we have, mainly because, you know, a big part of what we do is adding that human aspect to mass incarceration. You know, people actually start to understand, like, every single one of those 2.3 million people is an individual, and that's a lot of what EL is talking about in here. So I'm gonna read that now. Can you see me in these words, in the sounds of the airs as it ushers oxygen combined with H2 in all solids and liquids? Can you see me through the windows to my soul, the ocular cavities that present its messages to the lightless void between my ears? Can you see these thoughts, the vision of completion that is but isn't only my mentality? Can you see beyond the vast layers of mask that covers the beauties that is the natural form of me? Can you see the dancing rays playing with the darkness, the red orbs orbiting my silhouette, saturating the emptiness that is my caged reality? Can you see my challenges, the reaching heights of my deformities, my effortless efforts to just be? Can you see the beings behind the voices that operate on my decisions like a doctor's precision incision, blurring my good vision to do righteousness in the surgery of my life path? Can you see me spearheading the separation of science and math, the maniacal, unachievable fact in this statement? Because clearly there's a division like light and time. Do you have vision to see beyond the negative presumptions created by your own personal reflections and prejudgmental prejudice? Do you see that I am you and everyone else is me? Can you see our similarities? Can you see that when the power of love overcomes the love of power, that we can find peace? I was born Elijah before I became human, but can you see? Noticing that they kill the positive people, let the demons run free? What is the evil eye without the images you repeatedly show clearly? And see beyond the fantasy. That was EL. You can pick up his book at that link there. And thank you. I'll move it back to our MC, Chris.
Thanks, Meg. Sincerely appreciate it. Next, I'm going to introduce Teresa Goldberg-Brightman, who's a local fantastic poet, and they've been involved just so much in a lot of amplifying ID13's creative work, at which we are so thankful for. So she's going to do some readings as well. So I'm going to let her take it over and give us some awesome words here.
Thanks, Chris. And I just want to say thanks to Chris and Bengt for all their great work with what they do for ID13. I met them a few years ago and have done a few readings of the ID13 poets since then. And I picked out a couple poems today that I think anyone can relate to. And just to echo what's already been said, it's really about humanizing these people who are incarcerated, who we don't see very often. And it's a privilege. Obviously it's privilege to be able to say that, but the work is definitely about humanizing and reminding us that we all have emotions. We all deserve to be treated with respect. So I picked out two poems today. The first is called Baggage by Worth. How heavy the load he carried seemed to be. It weighed him down. The more he tried to get rid of it, the more he just couldn't let it go. Like a parasite scourging across an underdeveloped country, no remedy seemed to be in sight, as if it had latched onto him and was feeding off his most vital organs. He could hardly breathe at times. His vision was blurred in more ways than one. His friends and family avoided him as to not have to deal with the side effects or help him in his dire straits. If only he could find a cure, then maybe this thing wouldn't be feeding off his morality. Even his fiancée had a hard time with him because the plague of love had him in its fiery grasp. He knew he was in trouble the more he stayed this way, but how could he love to hate love? And the second piece that I'll be reading is The Views by EL. And again, please do purchase EL's book. and check out the rest of his work. Do we ever actually consider how we look to others, the angles, the struggles, the lighting, and social levels? Am I to understand that we are either concerned, unaware, or unencumbered by our outer view, but we shake in the wake of judgments from the pew? How can we not consider that the physical is the lowest form of life and social interactions start far beyond our sight? Can you not feel the energy of the room and music not move you from rhythm to the drum? Have you ever felt pain simply from the rain or unexplainable joy from the possibility of fame? But we still remain the same, making judgments with our eyes, distorting the source of our tears caused by physical lies. Do we want to know the truth, masked by fake news, or is truth outgrown and thrown away like adolescent shoes? Beyond feelings, beyond actions, and far beyond the known, beyond what we think and what we see, but is continually subliminally shown. And although we're undecided, don't claim that you're confused. We should be careful what we choose when defining our views.
Teresa's husband, Steve, has been a really great advocate for what we do as well. He's also another awesome local poet. He just couldn't be here today, so I just want to give a shout out to him too. And before we go on really quickly, a lot of people have asked about sort of the ID13 name, and it comes from the fact that when we started out, a lot of the guys would be starting their poems with a number that was assigned to them by the correctional system. And sort of when we talk about the idea of being reduced to a number, this is a really powerful thing. And the 13 comes from the fact that the 13th Amendment still allows for slavery as punishment for a crime. And we want to draw attention to the fact that that is still something that's in our Constitution right now and speaks to the many ways that the criminal justice system is tied to just systemic racism and systemic inequality. And that's why we have that. We have that as the name. So, and I want to thank to our early volunteers, Sony Tonaime and Bronte Billings, for helping come up with that awesome creation there. So now I'm going to introduce someone who I haven't seen in like over a year. This is Cardell Belfour, who I met in Grafton Correctional Institution, part of the Poetic Companions. So Cardell, if you want to unmute and maybe tell us about the Poetic Companions, and then throw down some stuff for us, that would be awesome.
How you doing, Chris?
I'm good, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you, man. And I really appreciate everything you've done. You and Bank. I ain't seen Bank in a while. It was good to see him too. Well, my name is Cardell Belfour, aka they call me Mighty Rock. I'm a poetic companion, one of the founders. I'm trying to get us right now where we'll be into the world and going from outside to inside and inside to outside. So what I do is spoken word, which is where we memorize our pieces and we perform them. It's basically the art of performing poetry. So I was blessed enough for Chris to come along at a time in my life when we really needed some help in different areas. And he aided and assisted us and brought in the things that we needed. So with that being said, I'm gonna tell you about me. I did about 29 years altogether. Like since 1989, I was locked up all that time except for about 2 years from 1989. So I've come home, everything is great. I've been reaching back to those guys in there. I'm hoping and knowing that they're still running the program in there. I'm sure Chris will be going back in there. And my hopes is sooner or later I'll be able to go back in and talk with them guys and continue to build with them also. So I'm gonna do a piece called For Better or For Worse. And when I wrote this piece, I was sitting there, you know, in jail, you be thinking about your girl or whatever, you know, that comes across your mind. So I was just thinking about the good things. I said, in my heart of hearts, I knew it was gonna be okay. It's been that way since I looked into your eyes that first day. I swear, my whole anatomy needs you in the worst way. And when we're together, it's like every day is my birthday. I used to think that you didn't want to see me shine, but you was right about a lot of stuff, but the street life had me blind. You told me change takes time. And every time I failed, I looked up and you was right there by my side. A rose, by any other name, is still a rose. But the time spent with you was like suspended animation. You know, like time was froze. You made me forget my foes and yet still stay on my toes. So honestly, baby girl, I'm glad to be the one you chose. I pray for strength so I can be the best me I can be for you. And time ain't getting no longer, so I want to spend the rest of it with you. I'd probably be the president of Ford if it was left up to you. You only want the best for me, so how could I ever be messed up with you? Change is good, but I want you to remain the same. You're my heart, my foundation, my miss everything. Those arguments, that ain't nothing but growing pains. I love you, sweetheart, and for that I'm not ashamed. I would die 1,000 deaths for you. And it's not that I'm a coward, it just seemed like it's the right thing to do. You make my sky a little bit more blue. And the thought of going on without you, it got me sick like the flu. You've taught me a woman's worth. Love is pain and pain is love, and this stuff hurt. We go together like Prada boots with the matching purse, like red monkey jeans, Air Force Ones with the white t-shirts, like little old ladies with them hats on in church. And for me, this is the first. I can't wait for the preacher to say, for better or for worse. Poetic. Thank you.
Cordell, thank you, man. Yeah, gosh, yeah, I miss hearing poetic and I miss the snapping inside. So thank you so much for that. I sincerely appreciate it.
Yes, for sure. Anytime, Chris, anything we can do, I want to get with you. I want good stuff in my life. That's all I need.
Awesome, man. I'm there. I'm there. Beautiful. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Zach Peckham now. And just really quickly, he's a ID13 mentor. Sort of one of our adjustments in the pandemic, since we can't be inside, is to find interested writers on the outside to work with incarcerated writers on the inside. And we've had just an amazing response, both from people inside and people outside. And we're so thrilled and thankful to our mentors, many of them who are here today to share some work. So I'm going to turn it over to Zach Peckham now, who is one of our mentors. And interesting, this is the first time I've seen a lot of these people in person or over Zoom, actually. So take it away, Zach.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Hey, everybody. I'm going to read a few short poems by Austin Morris. This first one is called Gauging. Seeking out an object dark enough to gauge bright rainfalls spitting beat against, I look half distracted out the window, frosted in years of sediment brought down by washing sheets of gray they frame. I can find nothing, though the walk is lacquered and clovers loft their beads of glass. Perhaps the rain has passed along. My old friend is out abroad and I am left with the illusion of her being. All right, this next one, we're just calling this one the red fragment. Austin's convinced it's not done, but I don't know, you can see what you think. Red fragment. I gathered glass in this, my basket, where once I gathered stone, or any number of things that did not cut me, nor were coated red, held to the eye, a color of perception, cause to sigh. Through red, I can no longer see if I've left more stones behind than can be gathered up again in just one life. All right, one more. This one's called A Relative Dictation, and I think he'd probably want me to tell you this is a newer one. How slowly tracks an hour, how swift years wither wasted, pivots with where you stand, shrink lifetimes to expand. Each moment whole of its component pieces, each piece composed of splinters, thin and thinner, query thesis. Upon expansion is not life, but just a moment, but a dream. Dawn is breaking, it would seem, for what is waking but to fall asleep into another dream.
Thank you, Zach. Really appreciate it. Austin has another piece online called A Small Needful Fact, and it's modeled after a poem by Ross Gay, who wrote about the murder of Eric Garner. And I would encourage you all to check out Austin's Small Needful Fact online. It's a really powerful piece. So next I'm going to introduce Eric Sandy, who's another mentor here with us. And super excited to have him here and extremely thankful for his work with us. So take it away, Eric.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, Chris, I want to thank you and the whole team, of course, for putting this together. I'm just here on my phone, so hopefully the audio is coming through clear. I will be reading for Brian Espinoza. We've been working together for a few months now. He's at Grafton, and I'm going to read one, and then if time works out, I have a second one. I wanted to also say I got to check out that poem because Ross Gay's Small Needful Fact is a great piece. This one is called Achievements from Brian Espinoza, and it's got a nice little poetic device that I'm sure you'll all catch on to very quickly. Achievements. All American and all about achievements. Better believe before blueprints become achievements. Caring can conceive complex core content, creating creative achievements. Don't do deceitful deeds, everyone exceeds, embracing everyone's achievements. Formulating for future financial freedom from future achievements. Good goals garnish greater achievements. Halt hate hater, harness hopes, help hone happier achievements. In instances I'm ignorant, I'll inquire intellectual informed ideas important in implementing individual idealistic achievements. Judgmental, jealous jailbirds joke. Just keep knowledge, keep knuckling down, knocking out achievements. Love life, live large, live legendary. Let's leave legacies like lifelong achievements. Magnificent management means more money means many more memories, motivation means meeting milestone achievements. Nobody needs negativity nor neglect. Next, networking nourishes notable achievements. Others' occupations open our opportunities, offering outstanding odds on ongoing achievements. Passion powers permanent achievements. Quick quality achievements. Represents responsible results, releasing self-confidence, steadily strengthening self-esteem, stop selling self-short, setbacks suck sometimes, so stay strong, start showcasing self-achievements. The task today takes time, tackle tough times, understand underachieved achievements. Very valuable, validating various widespread achievements. X-ray yourself, your Zen zones achievements. I like that one a lot.
For those who know, that's an Abecedarian form of poetry. Super big shout out to Leila Chatti, who is an awesome Tunisian American poet who came into Grafton and worked very intensely with the guys and opened their eyes to amazing forms there. So, and yeah, that form is a big hit. And big thanks to as well to Hillary Plum from Cleveland State University, who helped get us in touch with Layla. So yeah, awesome stuff there. Thanks, Andy. Next, I'm going to pass it to Dr. Rod Bogman, who is working with a writer in Grafton Correctional Institution.
Hey, everyone. You can hear me okay? Excellent. My poet is writer Jason Ranger. His work is phenomenal. It was really hard to choose just the two best, but I wanted to showcase his range. He has one serious poem and then one that made me laugh out loud. And it's kind of gone on to become one of my favorites of all time. So the first one's called A Winter Day. Shovels cut zigzags in wintry expanse, juxtaposed to excise nature's icy fallout. A ballet for two, where rivers of symmetry meet, vis-a-vis, teeth placed haphazard amongst crooked eaves, dripped silent. Tears hint at frozen impermanence, a still image laid prone and fragile, an objet d'art, snowballs, jet streamlines through a twilight interlude. Long shadows casted against a cold day's per diem. A streetlight tattoo played bright in falsetto. Au revoir. And his second poem, my absolute favorite, it's called Super Dust Ball. Super dust ball rolling across the floor, around the corner and out the door. You turned and bounded down the stair, picking up dirt and strands of hair. You stopped and shivered, caught in a draft. I watched from the window and belly laughed. You launched into the air and tried to pretend you were only a bird, caught in a whirlwind. You settled down as if to nap, and then you were stopped by the sweeper's trap. You ducked and dodged and made your escape. Lucky you remembered your Superman cape. You started to roll across the floor, past Clark the cat and out the door, We stood and watched as you flew away. There goes Super Dust Ball to save the day. And that's Jason.
Thank you so much, Rhonda. Jason is an FCI Elkton, and we are very fortunate to do essentially a virtual chapbook with writers from FCI Elkton who reached out to us after getting one of our chapbooks through Books to Prisoners, through Kent Books to Prisoners, which Banked used to run. Was very instrumental, and so yeah, it's great to hear more work from those guys. We've never met any of them except for one. We'll introduce in a little bit. But yeah, great to have that. Thank you so much. Next, I'm going to introduce Shayna Sharp, who is reading for another poetic companion who's keeping it real over there in Grafton now that Cardell is gone. So Shayna.
Hi there. So I'm working with Hakeem Hill, and this piece is a little bit different. It's sort of poetry, and it's also a letter. The prompt was to write a letter to your younger self, and this blew me away. It blew me out the door, just like the super dust ball, and I just had to share it with you guys. So it's called Dear Little Hakeem. Dear little Hakeem, one could only dream of the many things you had to endure throughout the course of your upbringing. As a child growing into a young man, it must have been confusing, being as though your childhood was single-handedly stolen from you, while forcing you to become the man that you weren't nearly ready to be. It must have been hard, watching your mother, the one person on this planet that truly loved unconditionally and without question, drink herself into oblivion day after day after day. Many other things have happened in the process of you growing up underneath her roof as a child, but we're not going to go into details, making it seem as though she's being degraded, because I assure you, Hakeem, your mom isn't the first and won't be the last to choose alcohol or drugs over her beautiful children. Trust me, continuing to go through life full of bitterness and anger will only destroy you in the end, and reliving your unquestionable nightmares will simply stunt your growth and development as well. So, my advice to you is to set aside all of the bad by replacing it with good. And no, it won't be easy, nor will changing for the better systematically shine down upon you like the sun on this beautiful earth. But what will happen in time, with your hard work and dedication to improve a much better you, is you finally being able to enjoy most, if not all, the wonderful things you had only dreamed of doing, and also becoming the man and leader you are still destined to be. Unless one has actually been in prison, it is hard to actually place themselves in such an unhuman society. It is nothing like what an individual sees on the television with only half-truths and lots of false accusations. Yet you cope with these uncertainties on a daily basis. It's almost as if your life was psychologically designed in order to prepare you for being in your current situation. It's actually kind of scary when you downright think about it. But again, you seem to handle yourself pretty damn well considering. I can't begin to imagine what goes on in that mind of yours, but have to say that I appreciate the fact that you are indeed open-minded and willing to express your deepest, most darkest secrets without fear. Something that most people find either too hard or are simply much too afraid to do. I hope throughout the course of time you'll continue growing mentally and spiritually enough to overcome any and all obstacles that life will keep throwing at you. Know that life itself won't ever be a simple walk in the park. And no matter anyone's situation, we must all endure whatever life the universe has chosen for us to follow and continue fighting. Because everything happens for a divine purpose and reason that none of us truly understand, but that doesn't mean, even in the worst of situations, that we can't make a difference either in the world we survive in hopes of being able to someday actually live or making a difference in someone else's life. Either way, know that you're an amazing human being with so much more to still contribute, and a blessing to yourself for not giving up on you. May better days come. Your friend, Mr. Self.
Thank you so much, Shane. I really appreciate that. Yeah, Hakeem has sort of this larger than life personality that I hope many of you might be able to meet sometime soon. So next, I'm going to turn it over to Jason Kaler, who was really instrumental in getting the FCI Elkton chapbook to happen. And as I mentioned, many the facilities we work with had amazing programs going on already, and Jason was instrumental in one of those in FCI Elkton. And so I'll let him say a little more about himself and share some of his awesome work. So Jason, take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Dumm, and thank you everybody for being here. The work that everybody's sharing is really, really amazing. As Dr. Dumm said, I was part of the FCI Elkton chapbook. I was teaching in the adult continuing education program, and one of the gentlemen on my housing unit came to me with an ID13 project chapbook because he'd heard I was the poetry guy and said I might be interested in it. And it maybe contained some work from some of the people that we've heard today. And I wrote the address on the back of the chapbook, and it turned out that it was Professor Dumm who sent me a letter like real fast, and 8 or so months later, that existed. So I'll be reading, if you can indulge me, a post-prison poem. One of my pieces is in Through Fences, but I thought something that was written after the prison experience might be a nice thing to share. This is called Kings and Queens. We run holding hands, smelling of French fries and chicken chunks, heading for the giant inflatable bouncy hamburger to fool around under a cool Michigan summer night sky. Our shadow is a dragon in the passing car's headlights. The dinner rush remains on our uniforms, ketchup on my non-slip shoes, ketchup on my shirt. Your hair smells like onion rings and my lips taste like salt. Orange degreaser beneath our fingernails, hands rubbed raw. We'll never be this dirty or this clean. We knew everything, rich at 17, cannonballing through the world. Always you and always me until it wasn't. Summer, that expectant now before senior year. This is before I engineered our destruction, before I abandoned you for fear and you left me for love, before I invented new ways to hurt you. Pickle Lady, our weeknight regular, we knew sold herself from the motor lodge. Chicken sandwich, 30 pickles. And how could she tell if there were 28 or 31, but I counted them, made that sandwich lumpy and vinegary, glorious and wet in its wrapper. Me, judging her stringy hair and the way she walked through the drive-through. Me, driving the car my parents gave me. She thanked me each time and disappeared behind the menu. How many of our customers still eat there? Where is Pickle Lady? Or the grandma who ordered French fries no salt and salted them at her table? Who visits her grave? That one time the sky turned green and the tornado touched down in the field across the street, hiding in the walk-in freezer. Didn't someone try to place an order in the drive-thru as the end lurched in the farmer's field? I got to be your hero that day. The gas shutoff was on the outside wall, behind the shrubbery. Over my shoulder, the sky inhaling and holding its breath. I cranked the handle and the broiler went dark on its way to cold, and maybe that's the last time you were excited by the pride you felt for being with me. I was the genius of the grill. Extra onions or no onions, mustard and mayo, time and a half every Thanksgiving. And you were the pretty eyes behind the speaker, a smile for every burger, smart with the money, a car full of band clothes and plans, cardboard crowns on our heads. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Sincerely appreciate that. And great to see you, that you're out. And I know you were in some ways so fortunate to get out right before COVID really started ripping through the prison system. And we just know, how much of a disaster and tragedy that has been. So, whoops. Next, I want to introduce Val Smith, who is going to Lake Erie with Professor Elizabeth DeVore, who's also here with us, and they were rocking some workshops, and then COVID hit, and that was sort of the last times that we were able to be in. But happy to have her here. She's going to be reading some work here from one of our Lake Erie writers. So Val, take it away.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I'm going to read a couple of pieces by E.L. One of the pieces, the longer piece I'm going to read, is from his book, Behind These Fences, and I think there's a link in the chat to that. And two new pieces that he sent me. The first one's called Barred Windows, and the second is Cell Doors. And then I'll get right into his third piece, which is Incarnation. So barred windows. Love the sun, for it cares not for barred windows. It shines, it flows, it glows, and it shows us the hidden, even when behind bars, where most aren't forgiven. The sun warms us, no barred window able to stop its vision, for it shines, it glows, and it shows we're not forgotten. Cell doors. My freedom, 7 years to stay, tears like a flood and fade away. But today my freedom caged by my rage, my writing caged by this page, my freedom not as it seems, not as you see on TV. Me, I'm already free. Free once they close those cell doors, where no one can see I explore my freedom. An incarnation. When I vision institutional life, what do I see? Where someone from the outside looking in would see murderers, rapists, alcoholics, thieves, drug users, drug abusers, drug dealers, evildoers, AKA villains like Dr. Evil, the enemy, or as the godly would call us, sinners. Thrown behind these fence walls and cages like savage beasts or mistreated pets to keep others unlike us safe from us. What I see, although some act or call themselves savage, I see a group of my peers. Some young, some old, all different races and nationalities, fathers, sons, brothers, uncles, grandfathers, and nephews, all different but the same. I see men who took what life offered them and made choices to get through to the next day. Some choices made just to make it through to the next minute, but we made these choices and we own it. We are the men who see life from all aspects. We can taste both good and bad. We've seen ugly and vile. We know what it takes to do what you have to do without excuses. Whether or not our choices were misleading, misguided, rash, indecisive, or plain ignorant, we learn to adapt. Not all of us get it. Some get worse and continue to be lost and confused, but before your freedom begins, to make judgments. What if you were innocent, just living your judgmental life, and suddenly your freedom was taken away? Could your bodies handle the improper bedding, the hard water, below average food, the mental stress, or the reality of seeing and hearing about deaths from suicide and lack of proper health care? How about the strain it puts on family, parents, children? Would your judgmental freedom be there to help you rise above this just us system and truly bring some justice if this position was yours? We're the future. Believe that incarceration, like a womb, preparing us for life, something new. We are molded into model citizens, prepared to be positive and productive. Most prison stories aren't positive, but if you believe in change, then together we can be the difference. Thank you for letting me share those.
Thank you so much, Val. It's good to see you. Thank you for reading those pieces. Next, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Elizabeth DeVore from Kent State Ashtabula, who was, as I mentioned, doing some fantastic work up in Lake Erie before the pandemic hit. So, Beth.
Thanks, Chris. I have been working with a poet who writes under the name Conscious because he thinks it is important to be conscious of the fact that we are all connected as human beings and connected to the environment and to the universe in the larger universe. So he writes under the name Conscious, and I'm going to read two poems that we have been working on over the last few months. So this first one is Cleveland. Cleveland. I was birthed in a place where cowards close their eyes and empty their clips, where legacies are defined by your cars and overlooked as loose lips. I'm from a city where innocent bystanders get shot peeking through curtains next to a nightstand. TV got fake fans screaming Believeland. Meanwhile, trending on Instagram, victims begging for their life. Come on, officer, don't shoot, please, man. This is the city where frontrunners front-running the Indians and calves, while the community tiptoeing to the front of the poverty line. They follow him behind Frank Jackson, but he done took off his glasses, so now it's the blind leading the blind. This is the place where broke folks' hunger pains is reaching crescendos, but the sounds is often overshadowed by stray bullets that are ricocheted off windows of homes that are foreclosed, where every high school diploma is placed in plaques because it's monumental, but can't even hang it on the wall because we all living in a rental. I'm from a city that's bleeding from the politics of the politicians. It's a waste of knowledge politicking with perpetual pushy police whose dim-wit and nitpick and pull you light switch like an electrician. City where throwing your hands up is a death mission, justified because of imaginary shadows and past issues. I live in a place where possessing melanin is considered suspicious activity, where you're guilty because of your color, not your age, weight, or height proximity. Speaking your mind here is considered bullying or a threat of terror, but I am here to remind you all that change starts with that man in the mirror. And this second one is untitled. So forget what you heard. Prison is painful. I wonder if my mother looks at me shameful from her angle because her angel has her heart tangled. Reduced to peeking through peek holes for the people when keys is jangled, walking a tightrope while my freedom is dangled. See, I've twisted and tangoed into a place where dark clouds cast black rainbows and it constantly rain and snow and all I see is hell. Brothers' heads hang low and they exhale slow when there's no mail. It's no tale, you leave the streets a man and come home a perfectly packaged product from hell. Mentally anguished from being controlled by COs who need control themselves. Chapters being closed on relationships we knew, funerals being held with no view. Children continue to grow without you, suppressing our fears while pillowcases catch our tears. Everything at your fingertips, yet out of reach. Through the pen and phone we preach. A world where everyone is a philosopher and dreams are created. In reality, prison is like a tire with a slow leak. Dreams are deflated. Tucked away from the responsibilities of the real world, patching slow leaks with fake bravado and a mask to match. Leave here broken on the inside and the exterior without a scratch. So, thank you for letting me share those.
Thank you so much, Beth. Those are awesome. Sincerely appreciate everything you're doing with Conscience. Next, we have Evelyn Ting, who's working with a writer in Elkton, or not Elkton, sorry. Let me see, not Elkton. No, yes, Elkton. So just want to, and also thank her for just reaching out to ID13 and wanting to get involved. And now she's a mentor with us, and very thankful to have her. So Evelyn, over to you.
Great. I'm going to be reading two poems by David Richards. The first one is actually an acrostic poem, and it was very important for him to share this one because it is about his daughter and his granddaughter as well. So, and then the second one is called Cabooses. In her eyes. A baby in my lap so small somehow thrives and grows. Her life, her spark is magical. Look in her eyes, she knows. Every joy in each sorrow, yet lived and not yet born. Among the blind tomorrows, negotiate the thorns. Did you see her? There, alive, victorious, her son. In spite of all the years gone by, no matter the pain, it's done. Nuzzling this beautiful boy because yesterdays are past. See, it's in her eyes. This is Cabooses. There are no cabooses on trains anymore, just a small, sad light strapped to the last car. A dim red reminder of the color it replaced. A small knob rode on top like a Lego, the sleeping compartment. When I was a child, my block was a dead end. The tracks behind my house passed a ditch. We lived near an intersection with a crossing. The engine would detach from the train towing a boxcar. The boxcar was full of lumber. Us kids would stand in the shallow ditch, feeling the rumble in our skinny kid legs, hearing the squeaks of the springs and the wheels, tasting the dares of our friends to grab on and jump, feeling pretty good we didn't. The warehouse at the dead end would be waiting for the engine to deliver the boxcar. It would then return by itself to retrieve the rest of the train. Here comes the caboose. The train would be moving very slowly because the engine would then stop by the delicatessen next to the lumber warehouse, and the caboose would end up right by my house. The cabooseman was expecting us. There he would stand so tall at the back door, looking at us kids fidgeting in the ditch. He would toss out candy, smiles, and sometimes, when there were only one or two of us kids, he would let us come aboard. We would grab his huge callous hand as he pulled us up to his world. We would be awed by the stifled silence, the cramped quiet, the dim, hazy light, the smell of warmth and smoke. Then the train grumbled like a great beast, a mighty blast of its air brakes, our pockets full of chewy candy. It was time to go.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Evelyn. Sincerely appreciate all your work with David and reading with us today. Last but not least, we have a writer who, when he was in Lake Erie with us, wrote by the name King DJ, and he wrote a poem that we use all the time in our readings. And he has been out and been doing great things. So I will let King DJ or Dejan tell us a little more about himself, and then read that piece. So DJ, go for it.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing? My name is Dejan Carruthers. I've been out for about 11 months. Next month to make a year I've been out, and I just recently published a book back in January. It's called The Cross You Bear. I'll put the link in the chat. It's also on Amazon and on Kindle. Book is pretty much a fiction novel. I wrote it while I was in Lake Erie, and I actually finished it on my last week in there, so it's kind of crazy. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about this book. I sold over 200 copies so far, so you get the chance, check it out. Pretty much what writing means to me is like the best form of communication. I wouldn't consider myself like much of a speaker or like one of those guys who can just speak on the spot, but with writing, it just makes it so much easier. You can put more time into what you want to say. You can really just think about it, put it on paper. So here's a poem that I wrote. It's called Pen or Pencil. A pen, of course. I have and I will erase bad habits and traits that I've become accustomed to. And by me being a pencil and not a pen, I can start fresh at things, and you'll never know of the things I erased unless I tell you. I guess you could say I have a good eraser. Just writing this, I have erased 3 times. I sometimes tend to start things without putting much thought into it, so I have to start over. Thank God for erasers. To sum it all up, pencils are temporary and pens are permanent, and everyone deserves a second chance. That's it.
Hey, thanks, DJ. It's great to see you, man. Also, you got a personal training business going on too. So, yeah, a lot happening. Just sort of, I want to mention something that you just reminded me of too. Sort of the ID13 sort of mantra is "We are human, we write." And I think sort of when you spoke about this, this sort of gift of language we have, and I agree. I think it's this amazing thing about being what we are, is that we can use words to express ourselves, and to me that's like the most human thing we can do, and I think that's sort of why we adopt this creative writing aspect in ID13, is to help just drive that home for everybody. I also want to give a shout out here to Zachary Thomas, who's here, and he runs a really awesome program called Writers in Residence, involving college students across Ohio, with writing in juvenile facilities. So Zach, I don't know if you want to throw in the chat a link to Writers in Residence websites, so people can read chapbooks there and stuff like that. But just great to know him, and really thankful for the work he does as well.
I want to say thank you all so much for sharing the works that you shared. I think that this just so well demonstrates what Chris was talking about with the power of the spoken word. And I mean, we had everything from the super dust ball to, really poignant, personal, heartfelt sentiments. So I think that's, and everything in between. So I'm just overjoyed about how, what the breadth and depth of the works we got to hear this afternoon.
To those here, those watching in the future, you can go to www.id13project.com. Check out the work that we have there. And also, if you'd be interested in coming into the facilities with us when we have the chance to help lead workshops, that is, we view ourselves as being in a very fortunate position where we can bring people with interest in to interact and to help facilitate this creative expression. So please reach out if you'd be interested in that, or reach out with any other questions that you might have. And sincerely, really great to see all of you virtually. It's very powerful to hear the words that you're sharing and just to see your faces after not, having a lot of contact for a while. So this is tremendous. And again, Don and Yvonne and Cleveland Public Library, thank you so much for hosting us. This is an amazing opportunity. And thank you for the enthusiasm, the interest. Yeah, we just could not be more thankful for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for helping facilitate everything and for emceeing the entire thing. I got to sit here and just enjoy everything. So that was great for me.
Hey, no problem at all.
And hopefully we can do this again sometime with even some more readers. And thank you all so much for joining us today. If anybody else has any questions or any comments, feel free to share them. And all the people are saying thank you for hosting. You are more than welcome. It's been our honor and our great pleasure to be able to do this.
Beautiful. Thank you again, sincerely.
All right. Thank you all. Have a great afternoon. Thanks for joining us.